Hey everyone, David C. Anderson here coming at you from the Knife Center, and it's that time of the week. We're taking a look at the coolest new knives that have just hit our shelves. Let's check them out. All right, we're starting off this week with a budget titanium knife, which is not something you see too often. From Ontario, this is the TI-22 Ultrablue, comes in just under 50 bucks right now. And you may remember like their Secret and their Bezra models that came with micarta on the front and titanium on the back. This guy is titanium on both sides. So you get a really kind of a fancier looking knife for that $50 price point, where you kind of make up for that money a little bit, make up for that price point. You don't get a super steel here. This is an AUS 8 blade, but it's nicely ground, just over 3 inches long with this Tanto profile, and they are very sharp right out of the box. But apart from just that choice in blade steel, everything else here is pretty much what you would expect on a much more premium knife, with that titanium handle construction, really nicely anodized blue, has that effect where you move it around in the light, you see parts that are a little more green, some other parts are a little more purple, has that nice effect going on. Got ball bearings in the pivot, nice over travel stop / steel interface on the lock bar itself. Again, another nice premium feature. It folds up nice and slim and then flips open real nice on those ball bearings as well. Deep carry pocket clip, which is reversible for tip down carry for some of the folks out there that still prefer that style of carry. Not quite as deep in the pocket if you do that. But yeah, overall just a really nice, slim, elegant little shape. Would make a pretty good gentleman's knife or office knife for sure, or just any other kind of time where you want just some pocket knife that, that doesn't scream overly tactical, has a bit more of a refined look to it. Next up is another $50 budget knife. It's actually a return of a previously discontinued model, now in sort of a new form factor or new material and color combination. This is the CRKT Shenanigan. It's a Ken Onion design. And I may get a little flack for saying this, but as I'm holding this, the thing it kind of reminds me of, even though it doesn't have a crossbar lock, this is kind of like a budget Griptilian in a way. And I say that because, you know, likewise, you've got the injection molded handle, and you get a fairly sophisticated shape, which takes a little bit longer to do with G10, where they have to mill things away. When they can mold it into the shape you want, you can get more complex contours going on, and you get a shape with this Shenanigan handle that fills very nicely. You do have a single finger groove here, but the rest of it is a pretty neutral shape, so a lot of different hand sizes will work with it. Blade itself, 3.35 inches. You got a 4116 stainless with the black washed finish. You can also get this model now with a set of VEF serrations on it as well, and that comes with a black handle as opposed to the nice burgundy that we get here. But while we don't get an axis lock or similar, we do get an inset liner lock, and you do have a tip down right side pocket clip with this guy. And it also is an assisted opener. It features Ken Onion's latest iteration, essentially, of the torsion bar assist that he pioneered so many years ago with Kershaw, and they called it Speed Safe. This is not exactly the same, but it's cool to see Ken continuing to kind of not rest on that past version and always kind of pushing things forward. And what's nice about this new system too is as you get to the close, it has a little bit of a suck back in. You don't have to push all the way through like you might on some other assisted openers. Just something to do with the geometry on the inside, and the track that torsion bar rides in lets it work well in both of those positions. But yeah, I like the drop point profile overall. You do have a hint of recurve here. It's not super aggressive, but you do get a lot of cutting potential out of this knife. Next up, we've got some new versions or new colors of a knife that's been soldiering on really well. Although it might be getting a little bit overlooked as with some of the latest and the greatest new kids on the block sort of thing. But that's the steel will Cutjack and Cutjack Mini, which I've got the smaller version here. Comes in about 48 bucks for the Mini, which has the 3-inch blade, and just a few bucks more for the 3.5-inch version, which I actually have one over there, but it's not this actual one. Let me see if I can reach it. I got it. So this is one of the old colorways, but that'll give you the size differential between the full size and the Mini. But the new colors you have here, you still have the D2 blade, black stonewash finish, but a simple and unobtrusive gray handle with a black backspacer. These are injection molded pieces. You could certainly dye these another color if you don't like the gray. Certainly makes a nice platform for that. But all the hardware kind of matches the backspacer there. You've got black for all the screws, the pivot, and the pocket clip, which is reversible for right or left hand carry. Again, nice drop point blade shape here, high flat grind, thin enough blade stock that this is going to be a good slicer. Inset liner lock here as well. And steel will has really proven over the years that you don't necessarily need ball bearings in the pivot to have good flipping action. Got great flipping action from these steel wills. I'll put their washer-based flippers on par with anything out there, really, honestly, at any price. It is that good of an action, and you have the advantage of washers that they're not going to get gummed up or gritty like some bearings can from time to time. But really cool knife, and some maybe not fancy new colors, but a new color option joining the roster. All right, next up, I've got a few knives from a new brand to us here at the KnifeCenter. They've just been getting off the ground these last couple years. It's actually kind of an offshoot of some folks that used to work for Kaiser, and this is Kansept knives. I've got the first one to show you is the Kryo, and there's two versions of it, or two tiers, so to speak. There's a budget-friendly one here at 56 bucks, and a more expensive one coming in about 200. Which actually, for what you're getting at that 200 price point, you're getting a pretty good amount of features and materials there. Certainly very good bargain compared to the competitors in that arena. But I'll start with the less expensive one. It is a D2 blade, 3.6 inches, and a green micarta handle, kept fairly flat, and inset liner lock on this guy as well. That inset is a really nice touch at this price point with a milled handle material like this micarta. We've got a single position deep carry pocket clip. It is right side tip up. And we've got ball bearings in the pivot on this particular flipper as well. You can certainly do the standard flipper, works nicely, but you've got this nice big thumb hole as well, so you can thumb open it. And I haven't tried it yet. I haven't tried the middle finger flick, but let's see me fail on camera. Didn't fail.
Always next time.
Didn't fail this time. It was a little, I could feel it. It was right on the edge. You guys know I'm not great at that in general. Really like the blade shape here too. I am a drop point fan. This one's done really nicely. You've got a high flat grind. In a way, it's kind of like Rick Hinderer's slicer grind in that it's a little shorter here at the back and a little higher up the closer you get to the tip. So you've got slightly more robust geometry here at the back side and a little thinner, little slicier geometry out there at the belly section. So really cool. Now the more premium version, there are a few different ones. This is my favorite of them just because of the pure classiness of it. Titanium for the handles, not flat like the budget version, but you've got some really nice sculpting going on there. Not just nice from a visual perspective, but you've got a little bit of contour as well, so it feels really nice in the hand, especially with this texture, which is kind of a nice orange peel going on. And it's set off really nicely with this kind of brass anodized hardware. This time we get a milled titanium clip, and it is reversible, so you do have a left-hand carry option here. Frame lock here, again, rendered really nicely. You've got ball bearings in the pivot again, so you've got that good action. S35 VN for the blade here though, nice stone-washed finish. Came together really nicely. All right, next up we've got the Convict, which is actually a Chris Conway design from Sheepdog Knives. So think of like the Kaiser Sheepdog series. This is the same guy, and it's no coincidence, I think, that this knife feels a little Kaiserish in a way, which, again, considering the heritage not just of the designer, but of the maker and the company behind this brand, makes a little bit of sense. There's standard versions come with an S35 VN blade for about $207, and for just 10 bucks more, you can get this Damasteel blade instead. Really nicely done. Yeah, $217 on this guy. Pure sheep's foot profile going on, 3¼ inches, full flat grind, appropriate thinness on the blade stock, really aggressive slicer here. Single thumb stud on this guy. You can see kind of the screw port on the back, but you've got kind of this tab as opposed to just a stud to do the opening with. Come on, there you go. Sorry for the mess up. Ball bearings in the pivot. When you get the angle right, David, it does flick open really nicely. Frame lock, again, you've got titanium here with a little bit of contour, not so much the aggressive milling we saw on that previous knife. Just a nice, smooth, and comfortable to hold handle. Next up, we have the Spirit coming in, well, 2 tiers on this one. Standard titanium versions come in just under 200. This particular one, though, has a wood grain textured titanium. So there's a lot of milling going on here. Bumps the price up to $278, so it is quite a jump. But you get this look, I guess it's kind of like wood grain, but it's also kind of like a big jigged bone handle in a way. And some really nicely done things here too. They start with a handle that is contoured again, and then put the jigging in. So you've got a very comfortable hold going on. The jigging is not sharp, but it does give you a little bit of extra grip. It just feels really nice. Frame lock there, milled titanium pocket clip, which is reversible. Ball bearings, flipper, S35 VN, 3.5 inch or thereabouts blade length. And you guys know I'm a sucker for a knife with this kind of lines, and I'm feeling it here too. Definitely some good stuff going on. Nice slicing profile. A little bit less acute in the geometry for slicing. So maybe it's got a slicing kind of motion to it, but it's a little bit beefier behind the edge. You got a little bit more muscle to power through some things. And you got some nice file work here on the spine, just kind of some half moon clip outs that are symmetrical from side to side. All right, one more from Kansept this week. This is the Warrior, which comes in at $175. 2 blade profiles here. We've got the Tanto about 3.5 inches, and there's also a drop point profile available. S35 VN steel on this guy. Blade stock starts off a little bit thicker, so that, again, this is a slightly more robust feeling blade in the actual cutting performance. And titanium for the handles with integral bolsters. Green micarta on this one, but there are a few different inlay options available. And again, some nice contour on this. We've seen that on all of the more expensive Kansept knives, and it's a really nice touch, something I definitely appreciate. And you'll appreciate too. As soon as you grab it, you feel it's just such a different experience than grabbing a flat scaled knife like this less expensive version here. It just has that certain something extra that you definitely feel in the hand. Even if you don't realize why it feels better, it definitely does. Milled titanium pocket clip on the back, frame lock, like we said before. All the specs are pretty much similar apart from the different shape. You got the similar steel, you've got ball bearings, nice flipping action, just a solid, slightly more gentlemanly or slimmer executive style gentlemanly knife perhaps, especially if you're going for the gentleman's tactical with this particular blade shape. All right, next up we've got a new version of the Heretic Medusa automatic with the Jade G10 handles with the traction inserts. LMAX blade comes in about $441. That blade itself is really nice, just under 3 inches or right at that 3-inch mark. Nicely finished. You've got some nice grain going on and some black coating on the actual ground portions. Handle looks great with that semi-translucent jade. The inserts do give you plenty of grip there. This is one of those kind of small but mighty folders we talked about in a video a few weeks ago, in that you've got a handle and a knife size and shape that feels like you could do some heavier jobs with it, but that blade is just a 3-inch blade, so it's going to be able to be carried a lot of places where larger knives are either verboten or even just frowned upon. But you really can get a lot of work done with this relatively smaller knife, and the action on it, this is an auto after all. Push that button, it's got some nice traction on the button, I should mention also, some nice finely milled grid. Kick the button, you can hear it. It's a little hollower sounding actually because of the, probably because of the G10 in this case, because as you look in there, no liners like some of the other versions I do believe have, if I'm remembering correctly. Or maybe it's because the other versions are titanium or some other metal. It's kind of interesting, actually. I just realized that as I pushed the button.
Yay!
Yay. It's cool, though. Definitely helps with the weight a little bit. You don't have a ton here in the handle. Let me check the spec. 4.2 ounces. Not an ultralight knife, and I wouldn't claim otherwise. Just really cool. And I like the pocket clip with the little ball bearing there at the end as well. Really cool color on a really cool knife. All right, next up we've got the Tactile Turn mechanical pencils. They've been hotly anticipated with the new slim barrel. These are made in the USA, made in Texas, come in at $99. and looks very similar to their bolt action pens, but instead of a bolt action, you've got this bolt here on the side that advances the pencil lead. And this looks like a 0.7 millimeter. It does come with a little bit of extra lead. It also comes with some erasers, some black erasers, interestingly, to stick in there at the top. So it's not going to be an empty hole like this does come with. And then you can unscrew that, drop some extra lead in there. And I've said it before about their pens. I'll say it here again. The machining on these is really impressive. They're super, super nicely put together, super tight. The milled rings here are very fine. They give you little bit of extra traction, has kind of a zippy feel almost to it. I don't know if that describes accurately to you guys, but that's what it feels like. I don't know. But it's definitely not slippy, even though it is zippy. Really nicely done. And this new slim barrel, also available in set of bolt action pens, which we also just got in. Get them in titanium, brass, copper, zirconium as well. Price goes up from this base titanium version. Did I say brass a second ago? I meant bronze. Bronze finish. So there you go. Cool. Next up, Bastinelli Pika. Collaboration between them and Doug Marcaida. A new version with a new wrap that looks pretty cool coming in at $230. And check out that handle wrap going on. You've got some maroon thread underneath and this wicked looking skull kind of poking out between the heftier wraps on the outside. Looks cool, and those wraps of course do give you a fair bit of traction on this small blade, which is about 1.65 inches and 690 steel. Everything nice and comfortable. All the edges of the steel are rounded over. You could take that wrap off if you wanted, but you know, why would you do that? You can just buy the less expensive version that doesn't have the wrap to start with. But you'll find under there, all the edges are crowned and comfortable as well. Nice and sharp too, with the chisel grind essentially. You're fully flat on one side, and you've got just the hint of micro bevel here on the back. The sheath is made out of Kydex right here, and you can see comes with its own belt attachment here. It's kind of the mini dots clip here, not the full-sized one. So you might be able to incorporate this into some MOLLE gear or just around your belt. All right, next up is another new revamp of an older cold steel. This is the Taipan. Comes in now at $304 with a 3V blade. About 7.5 inches double edge, so that's 15 inches of sharpened edge on this particular knife. And apart from that, it's kind of the same story as we showed you the Master Tonto kind of revamp a few weeks ago as well. Really finely ground knife. The edge itself is kept a little bit thicker. It's not like a super razor thin edge, which for this type of mission I think is actually appropriate, because you don't really want a super thin and weak edge for something that might be subjected to some pretty aggressive forces. But they're really nicely ground with that dual hollow grind, and it's hard to tell exactly, but they look pretty darn symmetrical. The line going down almost perfectly straight. About as good as you'll ever expect to see really from most factories out there. You know, it's not like the Taiwan factory that makes these can equal Walter Bren, that's for sure, whose grinds are always perfect, by the way. Nice cross guard here, rubber over molded handle. It's going to absorb some of that pressure, some of that vibration when you do push the knife through some heavier tasks, like I mentioned, and a little bit of checking there for some more traction also. Sheath is, surprise, surprise, it is Cold Steel's Securex. Clicks in, you've got the nylon strap here on the back with a retention loop, and actually snap and Velcro on the actual belt loop portion itself. Or of course, you can use the slots and drilled holes here for a tech lock or some other kind of similar belt attachment if you wish. Also from Cold Steel this week is the Click and Cut Hunter, which is not a folding knife, even though it has Cold Steel's triad lock essentially here at the back. This is actually a exchangeable blade knife. Comes in about 27 bucks, and this is the hunting version as the name suggested. There's a utility version of this with black handles out. This guy has the nice orange handles. I'll get to the blades in a second, but coming back to that injection molded handle material going on, you can get a fairly sophisticated shape at a low price. So you do have some nice contouring, kind of like those Kansepts there, and a nice feel here on the index finger as well. Now, because this is not a folder and you don't have that nice big open section here, on the inside of the knife. When you grip this guy, you don't have that pinch point either. It's nice and smooth along here, so there's no hot spots. Now you've got a nice clip point blade here. It's made from a 420 J2 stainless steel, so nothing super high up the ladder, but very easy to maintain. Replaceable blade packs are also available, but when you're ready to change the blade, you kick the lock back here, the triad lock, rotate this down, and pull it right out. Easy as that. And you've got 2 extra blade shapes included. There's a serrated utility blade, as well as a small gut hook blade as well. And just click it in just like that. It's that easy. It's hard to describe exactly how to put it in, but it's very intuitive and very easy to get the hang of as well. As far as the sheath itself, hard plastic with drainage at the bottom. Just a simple, kind of a J-hook here at the back. I like to kind of call that the Mora style J-hook. And just slide the blade in, and it's got space here at the front to carry those extra blades. Just a really nice tight package for taking out for your next hunt. Speaking of the next hunt, we've got a new knife in Benchmade's Hunt series. This is the Meatcrafter, coming in about $136. Obviously, this is meant as kind of a boning or even maybe a big fillet knife. Blade length is about 6 inches. You've got a CPM 154 steel here, so really nice performance, both in edge retention and toughness as well for a stainless. Nice and thin too. It's looking like, less than 3/32 of an inch thick to start with that full flat grind and a nice swedge here along the spine. Interestingly enough, the Benchmade engineers were telling us that swedge, the particular geometry of how they ground that, is actually what gives this knife the exact amount of flex that they wanted it to have, which I would say is kind of a minor to moderate amount of flex. It's not like a super flexy fillet knife. You have a little bit going on there, not a whole lot, just a little bit, but it's going to work really nicely as a knife for any kind of long slicing cuts, whether you're on the hunt or in your kitchen even. Great for butchering duty, would make a very good fillet knife, breaking down larger primals of meat for sure, even a small slicer. Now, one of the things Benchmade has made a big deal out of this year especially is the edge angle itself on these knives. They say they're calling it select edge technology, but all you have to remember what that means is they're grinding the actual edge a little narrower than they would typically on some other things, where they might shoot for like a 20-degree bevel per side. This one is more of a, they're shooting for a 14-degree bevel. So kind of similar to some like Japanese kitchen knives in that respect. You've got a more, just a sharper angle, essentially. So it's gonna feel like it's gonna cut even more finely with that type of geometry. Handle itself, rubber overmold with the orange texture, orange rubberized texture. And sheath in this case is similar to some of the other hunt fixed blades we've seen introduced recently. Orange on one side, black on the other. No belt attachment included. They say this is designed to either just be thrown in a pack or in potentially a kitchen kit for camp. But again, your tech locks will work, and there's some pretty cheap options if you do want to belt carry this. I really like this. One of these guys may or may not wind up in my kitchen at some point in the near future. Now, while we're talking about Benchmade, they've got a couple of new edge maintenance tools designed for them by Worksharp, and there's 2 versions. There's a 20-degree and a 14-degree version, and these come in about just over 21 bucks. And you could certainly use either one to sharpen it at any angle that you like, but they have these 2 different versions because they have these built-in angle guides here on the ceramic honing rod. So if you're a little worried about maintaining the proper angle on something like that Meatcrafter, you'll be able to come in using those angle guides here to guide you as you go to hone the blade. So it's a really nice feature, and it's a good kind of complementary accessory to go with the knives and with the edge angles they're selling. And then there on the bottom as well, you've got a nice loaded leather strop as well. So you'd come back in after the ceramic, put the final hair splitting edge on it with that strop. I really like that they're pushing strops. This is, I think, the second and third. No, even more than that. There's several sharpeners for them that Worksharp has made for Benchmade that incorporate a stropping section. I really, really like that. All right, we've got another fillet knife this week, the Tops Filet. appropriately named. A little bit more expensive. This comes in at $150, but you don't have a cheaper or a less expensive rubber overmold handle here. In this case, you've got G10 fitted very nicely, removable scales, and you've got 154 cm, so it's not the CPM version of that steel. And not as flexible either. This guy is pretty much rigid all the way up, but more blade length going on, about an 8-inch blade in this case. Still, it's nice and thin. Cutting geometry is nice and acute, so very slicey. The handle here, a bit on the smaller side actually. You can see if this were, this would work really well on some smaller neck knives actually, or pocket fixed blades even. I can just barely get all 4 of my fingers on there with my slightly larger than average hands, but you're not really, at least I don't feel like that's the way you'd be holding this knife. This is more designed for, what's the word? Agility and precision. Like if you pinch right in front of the handle there, support it with your back fingers, feels very agile, sliding in under this way, getting in under things. Just a slightly unconventional looking handle and sized handle, but I think it's gonna work really well. You get a Kydex sheath with this guy, with a nice green color that kind of echoes the OD and black, or the coyote and black handle a little bit. Not echoes, but complements it, I should say. You do have a fixed Kydex loop here on the back for your belt, and I didn't check it beforehand, but let's see. Yeah, you'd be able to use a tech lock on that if you wanted to carry it in a different fashion. And new survival whistle from Tops. It's not the older plastic ones you used to see. Actual metal piece here, so that's kind of cool too. Very nice. And last but not least, we've got a new Halfbreed. This is the Rhino tool rescue axe designed in Australia. These guys come in at $280 right now. And you've got just a very robustly designed breaching and rescue tool here. Got a spike or hook here on the back. It doesn't have a sharp point, so it's not gonna puncture too far or puncture things inadvertently, but you still be able to concentrate your force onto that spot and pry up with it. Smaller axe head style here at the front with a sharpened edge, just over an inch or so, I'd say, worth of it. And the steel in this case is a D2 and it is very thick. Tail end of it, you've got the pry section here, G10 for the grips, couple different colors of both G10 and blade finish here. And one of the things we kind of discovered by accident with this is this guy really likes to sing. We'll see if it picks it up on the audio, but if you tap this, and it just keeps on going. It's pretty cool. And finally, for the sheath on this guy, I love the job they do on these sheaths. It's set up to be belt carried if you wish on this Kydex. You've got a plate here on the back, dual molly or dual dots straps. It also has a tech lock style attachment if you prefer that. And I really like the way they mold the threaded sections into both sides of this sheath, so you can switch that carrier plate around to either side that you would want to carry it. And then you've got one extra retention strap there on the front with a pull the dot snap, so it only comes off in the one direction. It's not going to get, or not as likely to get snagged and opened. Just, these guys really do know how to do a Kydex sheath right. All right, that is all we've got time to show you this week. Make sure to let me know your favorites down in the comments, and to get your hands on any of these, we'll leave links in the description as always, so you can head over to KnifeCenter to pick one up. Make sure to sign up for our Knife Rewards program as well, so that at least you're gonna earn some free money to spend on your next knife when you're putting your money down on one of these knives today. I'm David C. Anderson from the KnifeCenter, signing off. See you next time.